I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF.
It's been a week since Donald Trump made that instantly classic proclamation. I've been a leader on fertilization. Of course, everyone who pays any attention to the issue of reproductive rights knows that it's Trump's party that has been mobilizing against in vitro fertilization. Indeed, it was Trump's handpicked MAGA Supreme Court that paved the way for IVF to be threatened in the first place, as it was in Alabama, when that court overturned Roe v. Wade. Now, there is an actual way to fix this problem. You could just pass a law in Congress, signed by the president, protecting access to IVF. It's something Democrats have actually been trying to do all year. In fact, today, the Senate once again took a vote on protecting in vitro fertilization at the federal level. But the leader on fertilization, who we should note is never shy about forcing his Republicans to support a kill a bill, he was nowhere to be found. Didn't say a single thing on it. And guess what? Oh, look at that. The measure was rejected by all but 2 Republicans. Trump's vice presidential candidate, Senator JD Vance of Ohio, who is so committed to this issue, didn't even bother to show up to vote. Senator Laphonza Butler is a Democrat of California. She voted to protect IVF access today, and she joins me now. I guess the result was not surprising today, Senator, although I did wonder after the leader of the Republican Party staked out this claim that he was a leader in IVF. He even talked about federal support, mandating insurance companies that he would whip votes on this, that they would, I mean, nothing changed.
Chris, thanks for having me. And, unfortunately, nothing changed. As we've heard the same tired old stories from Donald Trump, the concepts of his plans for the American people here, they had an opportunity. The Republican Party had an opportunity to actually put action behind their words. And you and I both know the leaders lead. And the way in which President Trump rallied Republican voters with just Republican senators with just a tweet to tank the border security legislation, he didn't say a word. He didn't even tweet or utilize, Truth Social to communicate his views or direction that he would give to Republican senators. And we ended up in the exact same place that the American people were before, with their rights and freedoms to make decisions about their own bodies, to expand their families, exactly where we were prior to today's vote. And it's shameful. And the American people shouldn't believe a word he says.
I think one of the things that's a little gaslighty about this whole thing is Republicans keep saying, like, we love IVF. What are you talking about? Like, there's nothing here, and then voting to block it. And I think the reality underneath that, and I'm curious if this is how you see it from the Senate, is that there is a large faction of the Republican Party and conservative movement who believes that a fertilized egg is a person with the full rights under the Constitution of you or I, and that in vitro fertilization is as bad as killing a person, that every fertilized embryo is a right, and that the whole process is wrong and should be made illegal. Those people exist, and they do wield power in the Republican Party, which seems to me the reason you're getting these no votes, unless I'm misreading the situation.
Chris, you're reading it exactly right. That is exactly how the Alabama legislature wound up in a position to have to affirmatively protect IVF in their state laws, because their state Supreme Court had that exact interpretation because of laws that had been passed years prior, doing that exact thing, saying that a fertilized embryo had the same rights, and destroying a fertilized embryo was consistent with murder. And so here is where we find ourselves. They have painted this picture and sort of gone down this road of defying the American people, the ability to make decisions about their own body for decades. And now that the MAGA Supreme Court has ripped away the rights of Roe, the emperor has no clothes. It is truly clear their intention to control the decisions of women and their bodies in this country. And there's no turning back. And so they've tried to hide and bend and shapeshift every position at every opportunity. And today, in the United States Senate, they had the opportunity to make it clear to the American people that they stand with them and their right to make these decisions and to advance their families. And we now know exactly what they believe.
You have known Vice President Kamala Harris for a long time. You knew her when she was a senator. You've known her in California for a very long time. You know her very well, both as a politician and as a person. And I'm just curious, as someone who has known her for a long time, what are you making of all this? Like, watching someone that you know as well as you know the vice president put in a position to perform at the level that she has to perform at, and so far doing that. What do you think?
Look, if this were an Olympic Games, she'd be sticking the landing. She is doing outstanding, and I am not surprised. I have seen her leadership up close and personal in good times and in bad, making decisions every single day on behalf of the American people. It is, and I'm not surprised, Chris, because it is exactly who she is. And she has been that way, a fearless fighter for the people her entire career. And it really is does my heart proud. But most importantly, I think, for the American people to get the opportunity to get to know her in the way that many of us who have known her for a long time really speaks to the kind of leadership that our country needs in this moment. And for all of those Kamala curious voters out there, she's doing a great job extending an invitation to build a new way forward for this country and unite us as a people. And I'm proud to be able to do it with her.
California Senator Laphonza Butler, thank you very much for your time tonight. Appreciate it.